if you wanted in one sentence what's wrong with modern cinema and why movies don't look tactile and why they feel cheap and why CG looks worse now than it did in 2005 and why everything looks worse now, it's because
This is the only problem. I'm Andy Mansky. That's Santino Vitale. Uh, if you're a longtime listener of the show, allow us to. I want to mention something to Santino in the middle of this episode that I could totally mention off air, but on air, I think it's interesting. Our Reservoir Dogs episode, by the way, is our most popular episode ever.
it has
It popped.
three whole listeners.
It popped off and has like 50 some views.
Wow.
And I don't know why, because it happened like 4 days into it being out. It like blipped up and it's kind of stayed up. And I think that's really funny.
Wow.
That episode was called Who Let the Dogs Out,
Mhm.
which I thought was the dumbest name. And then people liked it. And I just think that's an interesting idea. So we talk about Tarantino, we get the views.
Yeah.
We talk about
We're
Wes
gonna have to do
Anderson,
more.
and we don't. But
Oh,
yeah.
That's usually what happens when you talk about Wes Anderson. You can clear a room pretty quick. You come in, if you come up to a party, roll up to a party and be like, hey, let me tell you about my sweet Wes Anderson knowledge. Everybody's just gone.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, that's true. We're both like Ohio-based filmmakers. We like movies. We like talking about movies. Last week we kind of went on some rabbit holes before we got into the film that we were discussing. But this week we are going to spend all of our time discussing the 2003 film Identity, which you made me watch this week. And I am really excited to talk about it.
Sweet. Yeah, there's no fat on this episode, boys and girls.
Yeah,
this is a filet mignon of
yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Not to oversell it, but
Yeah.
we're just going to talk about this movie this week because in our little pre-production meeting we do, with the whole staff, with the faculty, with Pepe and Luigi and our mostly Italian staff. Giuseppe was
except for
this week.
Kristen's our new intern. Yeah. She's like a Kent State. She's what, a junior?
Yeah.
No, she's a freshman at Kent State.
Yeah, she's a freshman at Kent State. Yeah, freshman. Like, she'll be a freshman next year. Yeah.
She's really, I keep telling her, like, you can calm down. Like, I think she thinks this is
she's excited to be here, man.
Yeah, but I think she thinks this is a big opportunity. I'm like, you can take your enthusiasm down like so many notches. You really,
I don't know why
your expectations.
The board brought her on. Rumor she's related to Randy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I get that vibe every now and then. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I think she's cooler than Randy, and I think it's gonna be okay. But if I get like any of those long-winded, like, the Randyisms where he's like, he'll do this thing where he'll start talking to you and he'll start like, and he'll like take this big inhale after like this
mid sentence.
Yeah, mid sentence, and you're like, oh goodness, he's winding up, and it's like he smacks his lips so friggin' much.
Dude, in the offices, you could hear him do it from across. Like, I'm in I have a corner office. I have a office with there's the cubicles in the bay. You can hear it reverberate through.
Can you hear that?
Really, not really.
No, yeah, the stupid noise cancellation. Yeah. It's like it's a slapping. It's like a very
it's his lips.
It's the most obnoxious thing.
But Kristen's cool. She brought in Domino's for the staff meeting.
That's cool.
I mean, it was early. I didn't know if they were open, but it was like hot. It was a fresh Domino's pizza.
The girl knows how to get pizza. I'll give her that.
Yeah, we need people like that around here.
She's going places. That said, I don't know how we got on this rabbit hole.
It would seem far more believable of a bit. I guess if I remembered, the first thing I said was we mentioned it in the staff meeting. This episode being short.
Yeah.
So, or at least like to the point of talking about identity. Now,
the whole idea of like this episode not having any fat on it, and then we go on a whole rant about our fictional intern and a guy named Randy.
Yeah.
Yep. That's classic. Whatever this podcast is called. That's classic us.
Classic. This thing we do.
Yeah. So Andy, I gave you a challenge this week to watch Identity. As you said, it's a 2003, which, everybody, the cast in this movie, let's first kind of lead into that. It's a mystery thriller.
Can we actually start with where we kind of always do. So I think
Yeah.
this is really important of like expectations and what we knew going in.
Yes.
I knew nothing
Mhm.
about this movie.
And that's the best way to be.
Absolutely nothing, except that it was a thriller because that's what
Mhm.
you had said, and it was from 2003.
Yep.
And Kevin Spacey wasn't in it, but this guy who looks a lot like Kevin Spacey is, which is John Cusack. Right. And I kept looking at it, and I also could never remember in the week. I could never
Mhm.
remember the name of it, which was funny because someone even asked me like, "What are you guys watching next?" And I was like, "It's
I
some
think
movie
there
that
are
starts with
also
an I."
multiple movies that are called Identity. I think this is one of several.
There's one of several identities. I was also like, it's not Invincible,
No.
but it's not Invisible. I kept
And it's
thinking like
not Unbreakable.
yeah, it's like, but it was Identity. And so I knew nothing going into it. And I'm gonna be like, you need to get in my head for watching this movie.
Mhm.
I thought there was about a 60-40 shot, maybe even like 70-30, that you were showing me a bad movie this
Mhm.
week. Like that's because I had never heard of this movie. Not
Mhm.
only had I like know nothing about it, I had never heard a thing about this movie. And I was like, is he finally getting me back for all the bad movies I've seen?
Mhm.
Even though like I swear like I double checked the parents guide just because I
Mhm.
do. Mostly because it's sometimes a good laugh.
Mhm. There's major cleavage involved.
Major cleavage
No
in this
nudity,
movie.
but major
Warning.
cleavage.
Look, I am a hardcore subscriber to parents' guides of IMDb because of my clauses and what I'll watch and what I won't watch. And sometimes parents' guide will like graphically describe things in ways that are way worse than what
Mhm.
it actually is, or it'll be like the most underselling of something that is like graphic. And so I
Yeah.
sometimes just enjoy like hearing how they describe like or sometimes it literally be like this movie where there's maybe thematic elements,
Mhm.
but there's like nothing, but they'll still be like, watch out for this movie because major cleavage is in it. But
Major
anyways,
cleavage. It's strongly implied a woman is a hooker. And then they're like, also, there's definitely a woman who's a hooker. And you're like, okay, like,
yeah, literally, that's one of them. Was
fine.
like, that literally was what it's like. It's strongly implied that a character throughout is a prostitute, and it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know if this is like,
I don't think you have to report that.
yeah, I don't know if that's like just the fact sheet, like.
Like, if this
Anyway.
is a parent's guide, I don't think kids are really going to even know. Like, first of all, I don't think you'd be letting your kid watch this movie anyway. And if you did, and they're like, what's a hooker? Just be like, I'll tell you later. Like,
Yeah.
whatever happened to
That's like,
deflection?
yeah. Whatever happened? Hey, parents of America,
Mhm.
whatever happened to just waiting for later to find out?
just
Or
deflect.
asking your friends at school?
That's the thing my dad used to do to me all the time, is like, it wasn't even so much like a thing I wasn't ready for. If he just didn't want to answer a question, I'd say something, he'd be like, ask me again in 5 minutes. And then in my kid brain, I had no clue how long 5 minutes was. So I would wait a lot longer. And
Yeah.
then I'd ask him and he'd be like, ask me again in 5 minutes. And eventually I'd just give up.
Wow.
That's how he won.
Interesting. And
Mhm.
we'll psychoanalyze that later. But
Yeah.
back to my point, I was like pretty convinced
Mhm.
you were showing me a bad movie.
Mhm.
And so then, and we can maybe
Be-
intercut
because of the way it starts, or just before you started watching it, you thought
before I
was
started
gonna-
watching it.
Okay.
But even then, the way it starts
Mhm.
is this like melodramatic, like Seven adjacent,
Mhm.
like this doctor guy. It's Alfred Molina,
Mhm.
and he's like listening to a tape of like this serial killer guy.
Should we tell the people playing along at home basically a synopsis of this movie?
I think you should, yeah,
Yeah,
go for
just
it.
so they know what we're talking about. So identity. is
Pretend
very
I freeze frame, and now
Yeah.
we jump back.
Right. We're gonna freeze frame, jump back. Zup, 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 zup. So here's what the movie is. It's Identity, 2003. It's a thriller mystery, and what the movie is effectively 10 Little Indians, right? Like, it's 10 strangers end up at this motel in the middle of Nevada in a thunderstorm at night, and they all start dying one by one. There's what it's about. Now we'll fast forward back to Andy. There you
Who directed this movie?
Um,
It's a name. It's the guy who did like. See, I was
he
like,
did
who-
Logan, and he did a
yeah,
bunch of other stuff, and I can't think of his
think he
name right now.
produced Logan. James Mangold.
James
Is his
Mangold.
name. Because
He's
I
a
was like,
very
I
good
haven't even
director.
heard of this guy. And then I looked at his IMDb and I was like, oh my goodness, no, I have heard of this guy. I
Yeah.
just don't know his name.
Logan, A Complete Unknown, Wolverine, Walk the Line, Girl Interrupted, 310 to Yuma, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's a pro. funny enough. Well, you know what? I'll get to the writer. My fun little spicy tidbit about the writer later. I'll let you
Ooh, tease
continue
that
with your
for
thing.
later.
Yeah.
But
So the movie
the
starts
movie
and you were like,
starts and it feels like 7,
mhm,
or where it's or kind of, which is
kind of
kind of a stab at 7,
slightly
I know,
less
right?
oppressive.
Yeah. It's just like crime film.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay.
Almost generic crime film.
I would cut out, like, remove a needless word and say generic crime film
Yeah. Hmm.
opening, which is not bad, but I'm like, okay, okay. And we then it
Alfred
almost is
Molina.
the way it's Alfred Molina, and then
Hmm.
it's like a phone ringing, and we're with this guy, and it's like, "Are you awake? Are you awake?" And it's like, "Of course I'm awake." And that
Hmm.
opening little bit of the movie is a little rocky. So I
Hmm.
was like, "Is he making me watch a bad movie?" Like, is he doing like,
Yeah, the
is it li
exposition in the first like 3 to 4 minutes is just that. It's very
Yeah.
ham-fisted exposition. It's like, this is happening. They're gonna try this guy again. And they're like, why are you
Yes.
trying him? I already convicted him. He's gonna go to execution tomorrow. And they're like, well, they're doing a midnight hearing, so get your butt down here.
Which is an important setup, is like, there's
Right.
this midnight hearing for this guy.
Hmm. A
It's like,
serial
okay.
killer.
Yeah. And who's presumably who Alfred Molina was, like, stewing over
Hmm.
a little bit ago. And then we go from that to, like, it's been storming outside to, like, this motel.
Hmm.
And this is where I'm like, "What am I like, I have not been like, "What am I watching?"
Hmm.
so much during a movie in a long time, and we just watched White Noise, right? Like, which that I think, like, once I got into it was like, "Okay, yeah,
Mm.
this is what we're," but this was like, "Wait, what?" Because we get to this motel, and then this movie does a thing in its setup, which is it will, like, show you some, like, bit of action. So we're at this motel, we're in the, like, office, guys watching TV, and then a car comes peeling into the parking lot, and people come out, and a guy's holding, like, the body of a woman who's, like, bleeding out, and he's like, we need a phone. Do you have a phone?" And then we freeze frame for, like, 2
Mm.
seconds, and then we jump back, and then we do this, like, 3 more times,
Mhm.
setting up a lot of our characters in the film, and I'm like, "Wait, what are we what what's going on?" Like, every time it happens, I'm
Yeah,
like,
very nonlinear. It's very like abrupt and in
abrupt,
your face.
nonlinear, almost like, and it gets to a point where it's almost unnecessary, because, like, when to we get introduced
Hooker?
yeah, we get introduced to her. The actress is we get introduced to Amanda Pete's character.
Amanda Pete.
It's like we flash back just so, like, to see where her lighter is or something, that
Mhm.
then is the setup for this whole thing, which it's like, this what am I wa like, what's going on? And then, like, John Cusack is this limo driver for this actress lady, and he's who runs over this the mom,
Mhm.
and
So the people at home can play
yeah.
along. The characters are as follows. We first are introduced to John Hawkes, who is Larry. He's the guy who is the office manager of the motel. The guy who busts through the door carrying his bleeding wife is a character actor who actually was in Seven. He was in episodes of Frasier. He played one of the Kreisel brothers. I'm pretty sure you'll remember that. He's in a lot of stuff in the 90s. And that's kind of what I was going to get to when I, at the beginning, started talking about the cast was like, this movie's 2003, but it might as well be 1995 because everybody in this movie is basically Mr. or Mrs. 90s, right? And so then when
This
we
feels
flash
very
back,
and the movie feels very 90s
yeah,
in some ways, even
there's still
though
that bleed over
yeah.
into the early 2000s. So it's this guy and his wife and their young son, Timmy, and they're driving along and they get a flat tire. Their flat tire is caused by flashback, the hooker's shoe, which flies out. She's driving a convertible before it's raining, and her shoe flies out onto the road.
And her
She's
shoe flies out on the road because flashback, she
right. She
needs
was
this
trying to
lighter
get a
that's in her
lighter,
bag.
right? And so that's Amanda Pete, and Amanda Pete's name is Paris, but I'll probably just refer to her as Amanda Pete through most of the movie, through our recap here. And so then, now that this married couple, whose name I forget, they are on the side of the road trying to change the flat. and the mom gets hit by John Cusack's limousine, and he's driving this actress. He's a limo driver. So all this crap happens like bam, 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 one right
And
after
yeah,
the
in
other.
flashback, we are
Mhm.
introduced to John Cusack and the actress lady.
And then I think it's flash forward to where we
The
started.
guy, the husband's name is
Mhm.
George.
George, that's right. George. So I think, yeah, then we flash forward again, and now we're at the motel. I literally had to watch a reaction video to this twice right before we were on the call because I can't keep certain events straight in my mind. I actually wrote things down so I know in
I
what
did
order
too.
things happen.
I wrote down some things in order. I wrote down that opening flashback thing because I wanted to make sure we had that, because it is like
Mhm.
in the moment you're like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, this movie does that a lot. And the funny thing is, I've seen this movie like 4 or 5 times, and I still can't keep certain things in order. So, yeah, if you want to take it from there now that people are following us, we're back to the present, and their phone doesn't work
Yeah,
because the
and
rain.
the
They're at
phone
the
doesn't
motel.
work, and doesn't does it, is it at this point that John Cusack and
John
Amanda
Cusack
Peet
kicks the
go?
yeah, he kicks the actress out of the limo and tries to go get help, and that's when he runs into
Yeah,
Amanda Peet.
and then they also ran into the other couple.
Yeah, not literally run into though. No one else has
Yeah,
gotten hit by a car yet.
you're right.
So, but they find each other, and their car ends up in a ravine. It's revealed that like I don't know how much of this road is fine, but then on either end of this road, it's completely flooded out to the point where like it's actually like a sinkhole. Like you cannot cross it. And so then Cusack and Amanda Peet end up in this young married couple's car, which I think that's Clea Duvall, I think.
It is.
And I don't know who the husband is. And they've been
I'm
married for like
scrolling.
9 hours. They literally just got married a few hours ago. And so then they drive back to the motel. And I think it's at that point that Ray Liotta and Jake Busey show up.
I think his name is Lou.
Lou? Okay.
But then, yeah, Ray Liotta, which they're presumably kind of vaguely
Hmm.
the not the ex-con, the convict
Yeah. Jake
who's
Busey.
being talked about
Hmm.
being transported, and then it's Ray Liotta as like a cop.
Yeah, Ray Liotta's a cop. So there's all the pieces of the puzzle. I will say, as much of a whiplash as you get from the way that opening is kind of cut together, it gets the job done. Like you
Yeah.
immediately know who everybody is and what's going on very quickly, and we can just get on with the story. And it's like,
Well,
okay,
and
cool.
like everyone has like its motivation is kind of really simple. It's
Mhm.
like this lady's bleeding out, but we're
Mhm.
stuck.
Right. And the phones
No.
don't work.
Yeah.
I think
And we're at this
Cusack
creepy
asks,
motel.
oh yeah, very creepy motel. Pouring rain. It's that 90s rain that you just don't see in movies anymore, where it's just really heavy, massive water towers pumping millions of gallons of water constantly. I think it's shortly after Leota pulls up. I want to say that Cusack asks him like, "Hey, what you got in there?" And there's like this it's heavily implied that Cusack might not just be a limo driver. So we already
And-
start kind of getting that early
And we
on.
kind of see that from like his determination. Like
Mhm.
he runs over this lady, which like obviously you want to help. Like he assumes
Right.
responsibility.
It wasn't his
And-
fault though.
And interestingly enough,
Mhm.
yeah. You want to elaborate on that for folks at home?
Oh, sure. So really briefly, in that flashback, like he's toting this actress around, and she's awful. And her luggage is up front or something, and she keeps wanting him to like get something for her out of the front luggage. And so he's trying to drive, but like do what she wants. She could do it herself, but she's demanding he do it. And it's when he looks away for like a brief seconds when he hits that woman. So now he feels responsible, and like he has Larry go and get him
He
some
grabs
thread.
the tire iron and
Oh, yeah.
breaks the window to like grab her phone.
Yeah,
see if
because she wouldn't
he
give
can
him
get-
the phone. Yeah, you can tell like he's got skills. Like he can stitch up the wound. He knows some things about crime scenes. And so he's immediately like all over Ray Liotta. He's like, "Hey, is your radio working? What do you got back there? What's going on?" And of course, Leota's radio isn't working either. It's been that way for the last hour, he says. And so now we're kind of in it. We're like officially everyone's at the motel, everyone gets a room, and we're off. We're off to the races. So this is what the first like 5 minutes, I think, of the movie, first 6
Something like
minutes.
that. Yeah.
So by
Well,
this point,
we're definitely actually probably like 10 minutes in, because that Alfred Molina thing is like 4 minutes long.
oh, that's right. Oh yeah, because
So
the
which
credits
is
are
the
playing
opening
over
credits.
that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
And it plays over Alan Silvestri's score. This is another Alan Silvestri movie, so another very 90s sound.
yeah.
And so, okay, so we're maybe, 10 minutes in. Headspace wise, where are you at now? You're watching the movie and you're like, dang, that was a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I'm still kind of like, well, what are we, in the best possible way? Like, what are we doing? I think I
Right.
was not quite hip to this is 10 Little Indians.
Right.
Yeah.
That doesn't really get revealed until like 20
halfway
to
through.
30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you start to kind of figure it out once they start doing the numbers.
But it's like, I'm probably thinking like, okay, this is interesting setup, but where are we going from here?
Right.
I did not foresee spending the rest of our time that being that night at that motel,
Oh, really?
I'd say.
I didn't tell you
No.
any of that? You didn't know any of
No.
this?
I didn't know any of this.
So you literally
I
only
flew
knew it's a
blind.
thriller.
I flew blind, man.
That's good. Because I thought
Yeah.
for some reason I just took it for granted that you knew this was going to be like a murder mystery and it was going to be all one location, all in one night.
Nope.
Wow. Then yeah, you had the best possible.
This whole time I was like, what?
When are we leaving the motel?
Like, are they gonna get out? What's going on here?
Right.
What's going on there? Like, I didn't know. And like, I think I'm the perfect audience for a thriller, not to talk so highly of myself, but because I'm a little slow and I don't really try to figure things out.
Well, that's good.
So I'm just kind of like there, and I'm like,
Mhm.
and I mean, you get a bit of a hint here and there of things going awry,
Mhm.
but he's I was like really weirded out by George's character. I think was probably at this point in the movie I was still like not really understanding him. This like the dad, because he'd like narrate like he's like
The little things
obsessively
to
narrating
himself,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
He's
that really
OCD.
weirded me out. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, every character has their own little quirk.
I think this is about this time. It is actually about this time that we're all at the motel finally. I said, so this started as 7, but where the frick are we? Because it's like, because the movie it sets up like, okay, this is gonna be like kind of the evidence of this crime, and then it's like blam into like this chaos that we've been talking about. There is a moment that we did talk about, which is right before Ray Liotta and the Khan show up. The what's her name? You've already said it. The young married lady,
Oh, Clea Duvall.
Clea Duvall goes like shudders. It's like, what's did you feel that? And it's like
Oh, yeah.
cold.
And then
it's
Ray
like,
Liotta shows up.
Ray Liotta shows up and it's this like super dramatic car just like pulling into the motel, which it's like
Death personified has come to the hotel.
It's like, what?
It's
are
like
we
in
doing?
Frasier. Every time Lilith would show up, they'd be like,
Yeah.
I can sense something's off, you know.
Yeah.
The walls are bleeding again, you know. Yeah, there's some fun little flourishes where you're like, wow, we did that.
Yeah. And then we're kind of like character building. And the thing that's really interesting about like the first quarter of this movie is I feel like the dialogue's a little rocky throughout. I mean, like we're saying, it's exposition heavy, but then it's also like, I don't know if the word is like natural, but there's like the interaction between Ray Liotta and Amanda Peet at the vending machine.
That's
You
a
remember
great
this?
interaction. That's
It's a
great.
great interaction, but the dialogue is like super
Very stylized.
very but I don't know if I'm saying natural and you're saying stylized. So we need to clue our audience in somehow what we're trying to say.
Okay.
It's very much like, what are you doing? Like, how you doing? Like, is this like weird small talk that I'm not against? It just is like, it kind of was like, okay, what? I'm still at this point of like, what are we doing? Where are we? When are we?
There's this whole thing where every time Amanda Peet is introduced to a new character, and this I think is why the Parents Guide. Yeah, they
immediately know she's and I don't understand that. And actually, when she shows up in the office, like, and Larry's there, the guy who's in charge of the hotel.
Larry's the one who hates her the most.
And he's like, Is she a hooker? It's
Yeah.
like, how do you know that?
Yeah, like
Like,
honestly, I've seen there's a reason, which we'll get to later. There is a reason, and it makes sense. But for now, sitting in it as we are, it makes no sense at first. And
how do they
truly,
magically know?
right, truly, there are women you would see at like Walmart that are just average citizens that you'd probably be more likely to guess that they're prostitutes. Whereas Amanda Peet dresses like any girl who was in high school in like the early 2000s. Like
Well, I was gonna
it's
say,
like
like, is this how far we've come as a culture that like the way Amanda Peet, I don't know, dresses throughout this movie is like
she's in
never
like a
like giving me
hoodie and jeans.
yeah, she's like or like a mini skirt and it's like
That's
hooker.
it. Yeah. Well, for the duration of the time that she's at the motel, she's in a hoodie and jeans. There's nothing provocative about her dress at all. And yet
Yeah.
immediately everybody's
Every
like, hooker.
character's like yeah, this cop is like, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because he's like
Yeah.
staring at her. And there's that great line where like they're at the vending machine.
And she clocks he's a cop
Yeah.
magically. That's part of where I'm like, what's going on? She knows he's a cop and she
Mhm.
yeah, he knows.
And then like she goes to get the whatever, the candy bar or whatever, and like he lends her money for it. And he asks her name and she's like Paris. He's like, oh, never been. And she's like, well, you ain't going tonight, and takes the candy bar. And that's great dialogue. That's
Yeah. That is
great
good.
dialogue. It's amazing. That's a great moment. And Ray Liotta's super creepy because it's Ray Liotta. And Jake Busey's super creepy because he's Jake Busey. And they handcuff Jake Busey to the toilet. Well, to the pipes leading to the toilet. So you know that's probably not going to last.
to the seat of the toilet.
Yeah, yeah, not to the seat of the toilet, but to the pipes. And everybody kind of settles in, and like we get all the little character beats. Like George is OCD, and the wife is unconscious. That's her whole character, basically. And the kid's a kid. That's kind of his whole character. He doesn't talk. We established that because
Yeah.
George is his stepdad, and his dad left. So the kid's like traumatized, and now he's double traumatized because mom's probably gonna die. And Larry hates hookers, and Liotta and Busey are creepy for no reason. The actress is insufferable. That's her whole character. She's
Yeah.
she's a total douche. If a woman could be a douche, she's a full, it's a femme douche, a douchette, if you will. And then Amanda Peet's a hooker with a heart of gold because she wants to go to Florida and grow oranges because she bought
Yeah.
some
We
land.
learn that way later. We
Yeah.
learn that way later in the movie.
Right. But I'm bringing
But
it up
she-
now just so
but
that
she-
like we can track with it.
Yeah. Good, but she acts honorably throughout
Yes.
the well, the once the action gets going in
Mhm.
this movie. She's a
So there's where we are. And then Cusack is more than a limo driver, but we don't really know what he is exactly yet. We feel like it was not a big reveal when like later it's like, oh, I used to be a cop. Like we're like, okay, that makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, you're like he's doing all this. And he clearly knows a thing or two. There's a great note for later in the movie that I just read that I wrote. That perfectly captures how I was doing during the ride of this movie. But yeah, and then what happens? So then
I think we get to the first kill.
the first kill would be
The
this,
actress.
the actress is like wandering out trying to get a cell signal because she has a cell phone. She's
Mhm.
not really a part of what's going on with everybody because she's
Yeah.
the worst.
Yep.
And she like wanders away, and we have like classic like POV of somebody
Mhm.
following her, and
It
then
kind of turns into a slasher movie for a hot second.
yeah,
Like it feels very much like any 80s slasher at this point.
it really does. I really was thinking of like Evil Dead. Well, not Evil Dead. Nightmare on Elm Street is what I was thinking
Yeah.
of when I was watching it. That's
Mm.
better.
I keep forgetting you don't have like a lot of reference
80s.
stored up for slashers in your.
No, that was literally
That's
like,
literally
that's-
it.
that's
So
kind of
there's no
literally that.
Halloween, there's no Friday the
Scream years
13th,
ago.
a little bit of Scream, yeah. So like, but still, you can recognize the trope the minute you see it.
Yeah. And then it's like then we cut to John Cusack walking around, at least in my mind. We cut to him
Mhm.
walking around. There might be something before like he's doing, but he hears like the dryers going and like something is heavy in it.
Yeah, clunking.
This is like where the movie the like slasher tropes are one thing, but this is where like the movie starts to get like creepy and suspenseful. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh man.
They build,
Oh,
I
no.
forgot how long They build that too. Like they build up the whole, like it feels like he's looking for what's that clanking noise for forever.
Yeah.
They build it for a long
This
time.
movie is suspenseful, and I'll just say it now. Like, I don't think I've been as engaged with a thriller in a long time. Like this
Nice.
whole time I was like, I was in. I was in, and I especially because I didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know
Mhm.
what this movie was. And it
All you
so
knew was that there was major cleavage.
I knew
That's
there was
all you
major
really knew.
cleavage, and that's enough to make me uneasy to begin with.
That's enough to make a man's hair stand on end.
So if that's like your low bar of what could
Mhm.
be in this movie, who knows where we're going?
Yeah.
And that a character could possibly be alluded to be a hooker, but
Yeah.
it's so yeah, he's looking through these dryers and he opens one and it's fine. He opens the other, and then like it's clearly this last one's like da dunk, da dunk, da dunk, da dunk, and he opens it. And he's careful, and it's the actress's head. Bum
Yeah.
bum bum, and I'm like, oh man, okay, so this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
Like this is kind of, oh okay,
I'm, you know, that's really amazing that it see, again, I just take it for granted because I've seen these movies before.
yeah.
So I literally, I've
I
now,
knew nothing.
right.
Is the thing.
I now make it a habit before we do these where I'll watch the movie and then I'll watch someone do like a reaction to the movie who's never seen it
Mhm.
first. And that like reminds me, oh yeah, that's a surprise. And then it helps me to kind of clue into like what Andy might think. The problem is, for some reason, I really thought you knew that this was like a murder mystery. So until literally this moment, you didn't know where we were going with this is amazing.
Not really. I mean, maybe like once the convict showed up, I
Yeah,
was like, okay, it's like there's going to be something unraveling here. But that
sure.
this was like a whodunit, I had no
Amazing.
clue.
And so, what a person to go first. The very first one is the actress. Thank God for that. She was horrible. So we make quick work of her.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody comes out and makes a big stink about it. And I
And
think what
it's here we
happens?
see the key. We get our first clue of the room key, I believe, right?
I think so.
It's that it's like it says
10.
10.
But we don't
it's
really think
not her
anything of it.
room.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not her room. And we don't
Well,
really think anything
that's
of
like the I don't know if red herring would be the right word. The right word. The throw off is like it's not her room number.
it. Right.
I think is
So it
that's like
doesn't matter
it's
to
like
us
it's
at first.
weird. Yeah.
And I think he goes in, he reports it to Larry. I think Larry's the one who confirms that it's not her room. And then they're like, well, you know, where's your con? And uh, you know, Ray Liotta's like, oh, he's in here, and they go in there, and nope, he's escaped. The pipe's been unscrewed from the wall, and so Jake Busey's on the run. And I think we actually join Jake Busey on the run at this point.
Something happens. There's like there's something happens and then eventually we cut to him. But we do cut to him.
Oh, I
fairly
think we
soon.
flash back to Ray Molina really quickly. I think we flash back to the midnight hearing. And I think they're
yeah.
talking about this other murder case, and they're talking about the serial killer, and you know, he's got all these issues and blah blah blah. And we found this journal, and the journal of the serial killer has like all these distinct personalities, and so we're gonna try him for insanity so that we don't
Yeah.
kill him. And then we flash back to, or flash in parallel to Jake
Which
Busey.
like I'm gonna say what I noticed, and then for our audience to say, well, okay. So let me say this here: if you haven't seen this movie
Mhm.
and you're listening to our show and
Stop
you're
right
this
now.
far,
Yeah,
please
just turn it off.
stop and watch the movie,
Yeah,
and then come back.
we're not joking. Like, stop it right
If
here.
you
and
don't,
go-
we'll know.
Yeah.
The internet will tell us.
Like, we're about to spoil so many things right now.
Yeah.
Not like your whole
I'm
experience
gonna
is gonna
tell
be
you
ruined.
how Game of Thrones ends.
Yep. Also, I'm gonna tell you who kills Dumbledore. I'm gonna tell you everything. We're gonna tell you the spoiler to every
I'm gonna
movie that
tell
ever
you
existed.
who they're race swap casting in Stephen Colbert's Lord of the Rings.
There we go. So you better scram, boys and girls. Watch this movie and then come right back.
And you'll get the answers to all those things. Okay, so if you're back, we don't necessarily have to answer this moment
Mhm,
because we can like build suspense for a bit.
mhm,
But the Khan runs away, and then
mhm,
he sees lights in the distance,
mhm.
right? And then he goes to those, and he's back at the hotel,
Right.
and he's like, "What the frick?" Right?
Yeah.
That's a moment.
That's this moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that is what happened. That was a moment that I was like, "Is that what just happened?" But that's confusing. I don't know why that would be the case. Anyways, movies moving on. I'll move on. But I
Right.
want to make sure I followed that right. And I
Yes.
mean, now that I did, I know why, and that is what
Mhm,
I thought. And okay,
mhm,
cool. In hindsight, what I thought, cool. Okay,
mhm.
which that's such a big tell in such a fun way
Yep.
that doesn't make any sense
Exactly.
in the
There's
moment.
so many things about this movie that tell you exactly what's going on, and they don't make any sense at the moment you're watching it.
Yeah.
And it's at that moment where we start to think, well, maybe this is supernatural. And I think a little later
Which is a
on,
what the frick is going on moment because it's like,
right.
what am I watching? Because it's been like split personalities. There's a serial killer. There was murders. Are we
Mhm.
watching those murders? Or is he the guy on the loose?
These
What's
different
going
murders,
on?
right.
But is it supernatural? Is like an underpinning to this whole movie that I love. I love
Right.
that that's like a thing that constantly kind of seems like the most likely explanation is that
Mhm.
there's like something else going on.
Well, I think Clea Duvall's character even says maybe 10 or 15 minutes from this point in the movie,
Yeah.
something about Indian burial grounds.
Yes, that's
And
it's way I think it's like in the last
it might
like
even be like in the last
30
third
minutes
of the
of the movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's the
might be
last third
later.
for sure.
All I know is Leota has a great line when she says that, and he dismisses it so quickly. He's like, and what? Now they're all like sprouting up like sea monkeys? I mean, give me a break. Like, it's an amazing, his line is so fantastic. He has a lot of great lines in this movie, but even he doesn't believe it, which is great. But yeah, so Jake Busey runs away, and even though we see him run very far, he ends up in like this outbuilding, and then he looks out the window and he's like, no friggin' way. And he's like right back at the motel. And there's Leota and there's Cusack, and they bust in and they beat him up. And now they
They beat
like,
the crap out of him.
yeah, they really do. They're beating the brakes off him, man. And then they chain him up or whatever to a support pole. So it's like, okay, well, you're not going to pull this out without pulling the building down. So, and then they tell Larry, like, now you watch him. And they give Larry a bat and they're like, watch him. We got to like go deal with some stuff. Um, like right now. And so Larry's like, I don't feel comfortable on guard duty. And they're like, just do it, man. Like,
That's a great moment. He's like, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable."
they're like, Larry, he's unconscious. Just like watch him. And so they all go back to where everyone else is grouped because they told everybody like stay in one room. And they're like, hey, we got the guy, blah, blah, blah. And it's at this point that like Clea Duvall and her husband are like having a problem, and she like has like this hissy fit and runs out on her own and holes up in a bathroom in another motel room, and he's like banging on the door and they're having an argument. And they're like, it's like a high school argument because
And he
like,
even says it. Lou
yeah,
even says like, "What are we, 15?"
yeah. Because she's like, I saw you with some other girl, blah, blah, blah. And so apparently the whole backstory is she like entrapped him in this marriage and lied about being pregnant because as a way to get back at him for perceivably cheating on her, which is amazing. And so like
Yeah.
he's mad and he's beating on the door. And you get a lot of moments of like her screaming on the other side of the door and him screaming on that side of the door. And then like you think he's done and then he starts banging on the door some more. And then it stops. And then it starts getting creepy again.
Yeah, and it's kind of there's tension throughout that whole scene, but then
Mhm,
it's like and you can kinda tell that second time after he stops, you're like,
mhm.
"This is different."
Yeah, this is a different
Oh,
stop.
no.
And I think she opens the door and you don't see him, but you see like a shadow on the wall or something. And then it's like somebody's trying to get in and she locks the door. She like jumps out the window and runs into Ray Liotta. And I forget exactly how this works, but wait a minute. Wait, no, no. I think we said something out of order. I think this
I think the
happens
con
before. Yeah, this happens before they catch up to Jake Busey. Yeah, this is literally before they beat Jake Busey up and handcuff him to the
is
pole.
it?
I think so because they think
I have the
he's.
movie on my computer if we really wanna be that
I'm pretty sure that's what happens because I think he's like, "Is he in there?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then they go in and they see that the husband's
let
dead,
me
Lou's
play.
dead, and then they go after Jake Busey. So I literally, I'm sorry, I got that reversed, and I literally just watched someone do a reaction to this like half an hour ago.
So
That's how
duh, duh, duh,
difficult this
duh,
is to keep
duh.
like the order of things. Yeah, so they think it's Jake Busey. I think.
Da-ba-da-da.
I'm
They're
actually
having
now
their-
I'm not
They're
sure.
having their fight.
Uh-huh.
This is them having their fight. This is them having their fight. It's a long scene. Holy crap. Having their fight. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's been stabbed. There's blood everywhere.
Yeah. And then
They go
you're
after
right.
Jake Busey.
Then it's Jake Busey.
Okay, see? I got it. We're already out of order and we're only on the second
And-
kill.
And then okay, so this is great because I actually have it pulled up.
Mm.
Like, and I can actually get through things. What's so interesting, by the way,
Mm.
second kill happens at approximately 40 minutes into the movie. 41 minutes into the movie. 40.
They start picking up in
2 minutes
speed
into
very quickly.
Yeah, but we're halfway through this movie because this movie's an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
We're halfway through and we've only had 2 kills. And then it's literally and then we cut
Yeah,
from
I don't know.
the
You might have to like
this.
edit us into making sense.
No, no. I can you think I can do that? You think I got that power?
Yeah.
Then it's right. Cause then okay.
Okay, for the audience at home, here's actually what happened. Lou and his wife have the fight. Then he gets killed. They think it's Jake Busey. They chase after Jake Busey. Jake Busey runs away, thinks he got away, but he's actually still at the motel. They bust in, they knock him unconscious. They tell Larry to watch him.
And then we have a great scene between I can't remember. I can only remember the characters' names now. Ed and Paris.
Yeah. So Cusack and Amanda Peet.
Yeah. Where like this is where we're clued in that he was a cop because he's taking pictures of the crime scene of Lou, the young husband, and they have this really like nice scene together.
Yeah, he talks about his backstory, why he's not a cop anymore.
Headaches.
He gets headaches.
He got
He
headaches
takes pills for it.
Yeah. He takes 2 days worth of pills at the beginning, like in the
Mhm.
like after they all get to the hotel. And I noticed that. I'm like, that's a great little detail as he pops like he has one of those weak things. He pops 2 of them and he takes them.
And I guess he used to be a cop and there was like somebody who was going to jump and their life was really messed up. And they asked him if there was, one good reason to live. And he couldn't think of anything for like a split second.
He hesitated.
And they saw the hesitation and jumped. And then after that, he was like, I can't do this anymore. So that was his backstory. And then since you've got the movie up in front of you, what happens after that?
It's this scene and then they notice this is what's great because we have that like lull with this scene with Cusack and Pete. And then they're getting out of they walk out of the room and they notice that Larry's not watching.
That's right. He's not watching the con.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
and
why is Larry sneaking around?
And then we have this great moment where they all go in to check on the con and we get all their reactions like, what, Larry, what'd you do? Larry. And my reaction is my hands over my mouth, like, what? And then we see what's happened to the con.
Yeah, they drag Larry in and you finally get the reveal of what happened to the con. It's a great moment.
And the con has the baseball bat like stuck down his throat.
All the way, like impossibly, like you would have
and
to
I think
like
this
hammer
is
it.
the one thing I've seen from this movie. I swear like this scene was vaguely a vaguely familiar look.
Okay.
But not enough to spoil it. Not enough. I was like, this is like, I feel like I've seen this before. But
yeah, so now they all think that Larry's the killer. So yeah, so now Jake Busey is the next one to die. And what's funny is when Cusack and Amanda Peet were doing their little moment there, he finds a number 9. The numbers, by the way, when we're talking, these are the numbers of the room. It's like the room key with a little number hanging from it. And that's what each person who dies ends up having somewhere on their person. So he finds the 9 on the husband. That correlates to the 10 from the actress. And then they find an 8 at Jake Busey's feet. And so they think that it's now they're like, oh, it's been Larry the whole time.
Yeah.
And now they're mad at Larry.
They also find out because while they're like chasing down Larry and he's like, he grabs Amanda Peet and he's
he holds her at
stab her,
knife
but then
point.
she like fights back.
Yeah, pushes him into the other room.
And then the freezer opens up
Mm-hmm.
because there's a cafe at this motel.
Yeah.
Crazy bit of like characterization and world building moment. But the freezer opens and this guy falls out of the
Frozen solid.
yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, oh crap, you know, he killed this guy too. And then I think it's like immediately after that, I think, is that when Hawks goes to leave and he gets in the car
Yes.
and he goes to drive and the kid's like in the way and the dad pushes the kid out of the way and then he gets hit by the car and then it kills him.
Yeah, and then we cut to like the court, not the courtroom, but the like guys
Yeah, the
discussing
hearing.
again.
Mhm. So we're
Yeah.
back to the midnight hearing. So yeah, so now the
And
dad's
like
dead
so
too.
we've lost characters. They're
We've lost
dropping like
4
flies.
characters. Yeah, it does pick up. It starts to snowball very quickly. Like it's very metered at first. It's just this, and then just 2, and then after 2, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It just like starts.
Yeah.
There's bodies everywhere. We get to the hearing. They wheel a dude in, and they're talking about what they're gonna do, and then we cut back, and now I think they've tied John Hawks to the chair.
Yeah,
he's
they're all
giving him
yelling
this.
about Larry.
Yeah, they're yelling about Larry, and he gives them this story, his backstory, which at this point, Andy, if you want to walk me through how that was with you, because it's about this moment when we get a few more fun nuggets.
So it's in this like scene that Larry begins to like give his backstory, but then I think it's Ray Liotta is like, maybe there's something that's all brought us here. Like,
I think it's
well, no, you're right.
Clea
He's
Duvall
like,
says it. I think she's like, maybe it's like 10 Little Indians. It's like that movie, and they all think they're strangers, but maybe they all have something in common. And they
Yeah,
can't quite
it's-
figure out what it is yet.
but then it also because there's a lot like being thrown at you because you get Larry's backstory that he was like he lost all his money in Vegas and he was
Mhm.
coming back and he was running out of gas, so he stopped this at the motel they're all at, and the owner was dead at
Already.
at the counter, and he's saying all these things, and he just wanted enough money to like go home to Florida,
Mhm.
and then Amanda Pete's like, I'm from Florida.
Mhm.
And he's like, where at? And they're like from the same county and like a town over.
Yeah. Except that we did skip a thing, which is why the guy was in the freezer. He's like, I put him in the freezer because I thought somebody'd be showing up eventually to claim the body, and nobody ever did. But more customers kept coming to the motel, so I just kept
Yeah.
giving people rooms. I was like, okay. And Ray Liotta doesn't buy it, but Amanda Peet believes him.
Yeah, Amanda Pete's like, it's so crazy, it just might be true.
Yeah.
And
And
you kind of are sensing too that Ray Liotta's like really insistent that like Larry's the guy.
yeah, he really
like-
wants Larry to be the
The
guy.
movie makes Ray Liotta out to be suspicious. We get the tell at some point early on in the movie that his shirt has a hole in the back, like a
Yeah, with some blood
bloody
on it.
hole in the back.
Mhm. But he doesn't
It's-
seem to be injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liotta's very creepy through this whole movie. And you're like, well, something's definitely up with him. Maybe he's a crooked cop, maybe something. And then I think it's like right around this time, like the mom just dies outright, like just expires from her wounds. And then the kid gets traumatized again because he like walks in, he's like,
Yes.
oh. They're like, get
And
to me
then-
out of here.
Well, we missed the part where is the birthday thing here or is it later?
No, that's later.
Okay,
That's
so
definitely
but
later.
then the mom dies,
Mhm.
and Ray Liotta notices that there's a number.
Yeah, she's number
And then-
6.
And the number 6,
Mm-hmm.
which they're like, wait a second,
Mm-hmm.
the last number was 8.
Yep.
And this is a moment where again I was like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because then they get back in, they get Amanda in the truck and she backs it up, and in the body of the guy who got run over because he pushed the kid
Yeah,
out
the
of the car,
dad.
or, like,
Yeah,
is
George. I keep
is-
forgetting his name.
yeah, is number 7.
Yeah, it's in his coat pocket.
And it's like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah,
Because like
that was an
we
accident.
all saw it. Yeah, we all
Mhm.
saw it. It was an accident. And I think it's here we might get Indian Burial Ground again, but it really is like, what is going on? Like,
Because Amanda Pete's losing it at this point. She's beside herself. She's like, I just want to go home and grow oranges. No.
She is losing it. And it is like, yeah, this was an accident, but it's all it all seems like it's to plan.
Somehow
It's
coordinated, yeah.
what the heck is going on? And is it then that that it's not they're
Cusack
like
gets
go
a
home?
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cusack's
Cusack's
like,
like, get in the car and just keep driving back and forth until morning. Just don't let anybody get near you. Just
yeah,
drive. And when you get
yep,
to the other end, just turn around and drive. Just like stay away from this location. Take the kid and go. And
yeah.
so Clea Duvall and Timmy get in the car.
They
And
go to get in the
Leota's,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they go to get in the car and they're all and yeah, Leota is like, "What? You're gonna let him leave?" Blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah.
This is a
Again, being
crime
like
scene. Yeah.
super suspicious and like,
Hmm.
yeah, man, we're gonna let the women and children leave. Which why
Yeah.
didn't we just do that
Yeah, a
earlier?
long time ago.
But okay, good plan. Yeah, let's all get out of here.
Hmm.
And as Clea Duvall and Timmy go, we just see this fireball
Yeah.
light up the sky from where the
Bam.
car is, and boom, and we're like, it goes from like, wait, this is all coordinated, even though that was an accident, to like
Mhm.
people are blowing up,
Yeah.
and like,
Car bomb.
what is going on?
Mhm.
Um,
I'm going to let
and
you fully describe this moment because this is when the thing really gets weird, when the whole supernatural element like turns you on its head because Leota puts out the fire in the car and then,
there's no bodies,
yeah.
right? So it's like,
Mhm.
well, where are they? Oh, and is this where? Okay, so this is the part where my Cheez-It brain has kind of
Mhm.
got
This
things
is
fogged.
this is when they
But
go from like
yeah,
crime
okay,
scene to
yeah.
crime scene.
Yeah, so there's no bodies. This is also where it's like, what the heck is happening? Because audience, if you haven't listened or if you have seen this movie, if you haven't watched, if you're just listening, you have to like go through this moment with us. We
Mhm.
just had this reveal that like we thought these were all coordinated murders, but the
Mhm.
death we saw that was an accident is also a part of it.
Mhm.
What the heck? Now, there's a car bomb that blew up. What the heck? Ray
Mhm.
Liotta puts out the fire and there's no bodies.
Yeah, we
And there
get a
should
lot of
have
what
been,
the heck's
yeah.
all bunched
And
up.
and there's no bodies in the car. It's like,
Right.
well, there would have been. So where are they?
Mhm.
Looking around. And then they're like, wait, what? And I don't know what clues them in. I think there's the husband's body probably. They're like,
Yeah, they look over in the corner and
yeah,
his body's
his
gone.
body's gone. And so they go around to all the crime scenes and all the bodies are gone. And
Mhm.
all evidence of them is gone.
Yeah, no
The bloody
blood.
corner where Lou was is all
Mhm.
fine. It's like, what is
Jake
happening?
Busey's gone, but the bat's sitting there clean.
Yeah, yeah. It's incredible. And is it
Mhm.
then that we cut back to the courtroom? Or like the
Well, at that moment, they're really losing it and they're trying to figure out just what in the heck is going on. And they're just flummoxed. They can't figure it out. And they say something about a birthday. And that's when we get that little detail is that
oh, you're right.
Larry.
And it's that
Mhm.
it's in that moment because we're still like it's consecutive, like, wait, what the heck? What the heck? What
Mhm.
the heck? That they
And
all share the same birthday.
May 10th.
And because Larry has all the records, not only are all the living people have the same birthday,
Mhm. Yeah, they have
but
a photocopy of like
yeah,
everyone's ID who checked in and they check it.
and it's all May 10th.
It's all May 10th, and everyone's name is like named like her name is Paris, Nevada. The other lady was like Caroline, Carolina, or something.
Yeah.
Everybody's name is
Ed
something.
York
Yeah,
or
Ed
like or
York.
the George York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something. It's like every
Ed
name is
Dakota.
Ed
Edward.
Dakota, right? Every name is after a state, and it's really stupid obvious, and you're like, what the heck? What is going on? And it's at this moment there's a massive lightning bolt that like blows a hole in the ceiling, and then they kind of scatter. And I think it's at this moment. I guess we kind of let the audience down also. Guys, bear with us. This is a really complicated movie to try to recap.
It's
It's
also really it's plain if you're watching the movie
Mhm.
and you're like, what the heck? But
Right.
yeah, it's then they get separated.
There's that
Ed
little
has
rhyme.
this like, what the heck?
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right.
That
There
starts at the
was a
beginning of the
rhyme.
movie.
Yeah.
Yesterday I met a man upon the stairs, or yesterday upon the stairs I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. How I wish he'd go away, right? We hear that at the beginning of the movie. And then after all this what the heck, right? And the lightning bolt and everything else, Ed's kind of off to himself and he starts like rubbing his head because he's getting a headache and he says that same rhyme. And the minute he says that rhyme, Alfred Molina's voice starts like echoing in to the thing, talking to someone. And then like Cusack turns and looks, and you see Molina, and we're like in the courtroom for a second. And then he turns again and he looks, and he's in the motel again. And now we're in the courtroom. And we're fully, I'll let you take it from here. We're fully in the courtroom now. We're in the hearing.
So it's here in the hearing that, and I need to like set the stage right, for the audience. It's Cusack at this
Mhm.
point in the hearing. and
Yeah.
you're like,
He's in the
wait.
wheelchair.
Which
He's
to-
wearing white.
Earlier in the movie, I wrote myself a note,
Mhm.
which I was the one I laughed at. What that I want to make sure I bring up now, which is I'm gonna read this literally as I wrote it, because this was like my brief, and I'm like, I know this makes no sense, but I'm gonna write it down. For a sec, I thought the trial thing was not when this was taking place, but maybe it is.
Right.
Which
Right,
is
but
kind of how
maybe
you
it is.
feel.
Right.
Like, which is to say, like, I kind of sensed that's like the one thing I got was like, I think the trial timeline, this hearing timeline, and whatever we're seeing at the motel is not the same. I
Right.
think it's trying to be, but it's not. But we're in this moment, and it's Cusack, and Molina's talking to Cusack, and it's here that we learn. And I'm
I
just
think-
kind of gonna like
I think it's at
straight
that
out say
moment
it
when he
instead of trying
says,
to make
yeah.
it like convoluted, because the movie does a good job of revealing it. It's
Mhm.
here that we learn that this character, though, is being talked to, the Cusack's character, is the person with like the what's it called?
Multiple dissociative
Yeah.
personality disorder.
With this personality disorder.
Mm.
And that he's not Ed Dakota.
No, and he's also not John Cusack either. He's some
Yeah.
bald fat guy.
And so there's this great shot with like a mirror. He's like,
Mhm.
I want you to look in this and see who you are. And it's like, ah. And so he's this bald fat guy named Malcolm
Mhm.
something.
Malcolm Rivers.
Malcolm Rivers, who is the person who committed these murders. And they're trying to prove to the hearing
Mhm.
that Malcolm Rivers is insane and
Right.
and has this disorder and doesn't even even remember doing the killings.
Mhm.
It's
Because he's like
incredible.
recalling moments from where he just was in this fantasy of being at this motel,
Yeah.
insisting that he's a police officer. Because that's one of the things that happens when the scene first fades in, is you hear Alfred Molina saying, "Who am I speaking to now?" And it's Edward. So he's this character at the moment, but he's been all the other characters up to this point.
And it's revealed that like Molina's character's been doing this like therapy
Mhm.
that has made the personalities have to interact with one another, which is the movie we've been watching.
Yeah,
This at the motel, what we've been seeing is
a dramatization.
his multiple personality disorder interacting
Yeah,
with
like
itself.
in his mind.
So
That's
in one sense,
insane.
it's the cliche of it's all been a dream,
Kind of.
but also it's not. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's this motel because that's where like his mother, like, and we're getting into like what the movie you have to like put together, but like that's where like his mother left him,
Yeah, his mother was a prostitute.
who was a prostitute.
And this answers why everyone clocks that Paris is a prostitute so quickly, because they're all the same mind. So they all immediately know who she is and they don't like her because she's a prostitute.
Yeah. And so it's here that we're like introduced to like the fact that we've been watching is this like weird surreal dream.
Hmm. I think it's
And
the
it doesn't
only
ruin
time.
it does not, I'll put this like ahead now. It does not ruin the
No.
movie. In
It
fact,
might
that
be
is
the
like that.
only. It might
go
be
ahead.
the only time that you could. It's literally like the only time I can think of where you've effectively went, it was a dream, quote unquote, and it doesn't suck.
No,
Like,
like
I think this is
I
the
don't know if
only
I can
way that
think of
you
another
can-
one.
No,
Yeah.
this is the only way you can pull that off, and it doesn't suck. And they land this reveal at the right moment, because if you reveal it too early, you lose all the steam. If you reveal it too late, it doesn't make any sense. It comes at the last 15 minutes is when we reveal this.
Yeah.
So it's like perfect timing.
And here's what it does. It goes, it's all a dream, but the stakes are still there because you need to find out who the killer is. Right? Is that
Yeah.
essentially it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Melina
'Cause I
tells
think
him that they're trying to
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was still like, "What the heck? Whoa," that I didn't know if I necessarily caught everything, and I didn't wanna, like, stop and rewind. I actually didn't even think to stop and rewind in the moment. Again, I'm the perfect audience for a thriller to be like, "Whoa, no
Yeah.
way," if it's interesting and creative, because 'cause I'm not gonna I'm like, "I'll figure it out later."
No, you're correct though. Like that's why the stakes remain high because I think Melina explains it. And again, it's expositional, but we're so blown away right now
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter that it's super expositional because we need to know, right? Like he's
Yeah.
basically telling us what we need to know, not what the characters need to know. But he effectively tells us, here's the stakes. I'm trying to convince that judge that there's only one personality in you that's responsible for the killings, and you need to go back into your mental state and find and exterminate the killer so that we don't have to kill your body. That's basically like
Yeah, and that's
that's the
literally
stake.
what's said. So now, what is it, like an hour and 10 minutes into this movie, hour
Mhm.
20, we have new stakes,
Right,
which it goes from
which is
this
crazy.
whodunit to like, we need to find who the killer is.
And it's still a whodunit, actually.
Yeah.
It's still
Hey,
like
you're right. No, you're
what's
right.
funny is it's still both the same stakes and also slightly new stakes, but it's still kind of the same thing we've been doing, which is who's the killer. And so we know it's not Ed. We know it's not him. So it's either Paris, Larry, or Leota. And we're pretty sure Leota's looking pretty good to be the killer at this point. And
Yeah.
so strangely, usually when a movie does this, we're like in the real world for the rest of the movie. And instead he's like rolls back into his head and we flash back into the dramatization effectively. And we're back at the motel. And now we have like a new mission to like, well, the same mission, but we have like a renewed mission
Yeah.
to go in and like figure out, oh crap, who is it? But now the clock's really ticking.
Yeah. And so isn't it basically that Cusack just he finds Paris
Hmm.
and is like, he tells her to leave? Is that in that moment
I think
basically?
so, yeah.
Or is like, he just finds her, they have a moment,
Hmm.
and then he he finds Ray Liotta and just blam, 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 right? Or did
Yeah,
they,
he pretty
which is pretty
much.
awesome. Like he like it's this thing because like we know this is like this weird surreal stakes.
Hmm.
He like just like shoots at him and like keeps walking towards him. He's
Right.
just like there's a little bit of like a duck and cover shootout, and then he's just
Hmm.
like bam, 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 bam.
I mean, slightly prior to this, before Cusack kind of blips, like spawns back into existence in the thing, Paris is with Leota, and Leota kind of I forget what exactly happens, but he and she and Larry get into like a thing, and he Larry knocks him out. And then when he goes to grab the gun, Leota shoots and kills Larry, and then he comes after Paris. And then
Yeah.
that's when Cusack respawns basically, shields Paris, shoots Leota, and they shoot each other, and he kills Leota. And then he basically dies shortly thereafter, and Paris is trying to like get him out of there, and he's like, "Nah, I'm dead."
And he says,
And
I saw you in an orange field.
yeah, and then like she's crying in the rain, and it's a really cool moment. And then we flash back now to the so that yeah, so Larry's dead, and now Cusack's dead, and we flash back to the
At one point, we do get the reveal uh that Ray Liotta was a convict, and then
yeah, I don't
it's
know
in
where
that
that
moment
exactly
with Larry,
happens.
and uh it's with that moment,
Yeah,
you know why?
somewhere in there.
Because Paris is going around and she sees that like someone sees the car's hot wired and something's going on, and
Oh,
she
that's
looks
right.
in the back, and then we cut back.
She
Yeah.
finds his mugshot. She finds
Yes.
his and Busey's mugshot
And
in the glove compartment, I think. And then yeah, sorry, that is what happens. I swear I've seen this movie 4 or 5 times, and I still can't remember how all this works. But yeah, that's what gives it away. And we do get like a brief, one last little flashback where it shows like Busey and Leota in the back of the cop car, and they shiv the guy who's driving them, and that's why when he takes his clothes, he's got the blood stain. And so yeah, so then he dies, Cusack dies, and then we flash back to the hearing, and Malcolm is repeating the last line that was delivered, which was, "I saw you in an orange grove." And that apparently convinces everyone sitting there, which this is just kind of one of those things where you're like, whatever. But like, I'm telling you right now, if I was a judge and I was sitting there all night watching this guy like spaz out and have like these weird little asides to himself, and then he just seems unnaturally calm and, you know, has this persona of a hooker, I'm not going to necessarily believe that he killed the evil personality. I'm just going to think, well, he's clearly crazy. I don't think he's safe. So yeah, we do. I mean, I guess it accomplishes the same thing. We need to get him in a mental institution instead of executing him. So it accomplishes their ends, but you got to figure like what that's got to look like from the outside. Because we've been seeing the dramatization, which
Yeah.
is really cool, but you're just sitting there watching this bald fat guy like wiggle around in a chair and speak in tongues, kind of. Like that's what you guys got to watch for the last hour and a half.
Yeah.
Not as thrilling.
And you're
You know.
already grumpy
Yeah,
because it's like midnight.
exactly. So yeah, so then they pack him up and they're going to transport him to um the insane asylum, I guess.
Yeah. And it's then that we're like intercutting between Paris in like her Florida orange farm.
Yeah.
a-
And she's
And
very serene, and Malcolm's very serene.
yeah, Malcolm like being transported,
Mhm.
uh and then Paris is digging in the front yard.
Mhm.
And this is where I was like, what?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little cheesy, but you got to have the stinger.
Yeah, we have lost the art of the stinger. If
Mhm.
this is any indication of what we once had, our culture has declined. She's digging through her garden and she finds a room key and it's
Yeah.
a 1.
Mhm.
And it's like, what? And we look up like and it's the little boy.
It's Timmy.
It's Timmy.
Fucking Timmy. And he's
And
like hefting some farming implement, some
yeah,
sharp object. And he's like,
and then
he
we
looks
cut
like he's gonna kill.
and we cut back to like all the ways he like killed everybody.
Yeah, it was Timmy all along.
It was Timmy all along.
He like
And
smothered his mom, and he I forget what else he did. He like did everything. He stabbed the Lou. He killed them all,
yeah.
basically.
And then he's like
Hookers don't get a happy
it's-
ending or whatever.
Yeah, which that's almost a better line than I think what it is. Which I think is like a word to substitute. Hookers don't get a second chance.
Or something
And
like that.
then he kills her.
Mhm.
And then we cut to Malcolm.
Yeah, in the car.
Being
And he says
transported.
like the same thing.
Yeah. And Alfred Molina's like, what'd you say, Malcolm? And he's kind of
He's like,
spazzing out.
eh.
Yeah, and the doctor Molina
Mhm.
opens the thing, which why would you do that?
I don't know.
And then he chokes him, and then we see the car, like we have like a static shot of the car kind of drifting off to the side of the road, and then we hear that poem again,
Mhm.
but this
Yesterday
time it's
upon the
Timmy.
stairs,
Yeah.
I met a man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. I wish he'd go away. And then we cut the credits. So yeah, it's heavily implied that Malcolm like gets
Escapes.
away and kills again. And then the credits roll. So it was Timmy all along, which actually it technically wasn't Timmy all along. It was Timmy and Busey and uh Leota. So like actually there were like 3 evil. Like I think Timmy's was the most
But-
evil personality, but there were
but
definitely
Busey-
multiple.
But Busey doesn't kill anybody.
No, but he and
We-
Leota were both
They killed the cop, yeah.
yeah, and they were both convicts. So clearly you've got a couple personalities in there that need to go from the looks of it. So that's Andy, that was the movie. Holy cow.
That was it, man. So
So how far open was your mouth by the end of the film?
I
Like,
mean, I think
did you see Timmy coming?
I kind of was like, is it the kid? I think like half a time. I was like, is it the kid?
Until he
But then-
explodes.
Yeah, until he explodes. And then you're like, oh, it's not neither of them. Yeah, because that's one of the shots in that like hypercut is like
Mhm. Him walking away from the explosion.
explosion.
Very 90s, walking away from an
Yeah.
explosion.
And I mean, I think in that stretch we described, which it's like, wait a second, this was like an accident,
Mhm.
but also like all our birthdays, but
Mhm.
also car explodes, but also like, which I'm getting those out of order. Like
Mhm.
I was just like, what? I was like tense. I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Mhm.
I was super
No,
engaged.
you're in lockstep with the characters because
Yeah.
that's the thing about this movie. It starts with a bang and then it eases you into kind of a slower pace. And like you said, it's 40 minutes in and we've only got 2 kills. And after 45 minutes, then it's like kill, 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 this weird thing, that weird thing, kill, another weird thing. Oh, we all share the same birthday. Oh, look at this. Oh, somebody's gonna die. Oh, wait, John Cusack's not even real. And you just get yanked out of the movie and you're like, your head is spinning
Yeah.
trying to keep up. And it's amazing.
Yes.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. So I think we're now into the part of the show where we abstractly talk about
Yeah, we just
what
talk
we
about
think and feel.
the
We
movie,
wax
yeah.
poetic,
Mhm.
wax eloquent, whatever.
We just wax.
There's a lot of wax in this part of the episode. Anyways, I don't know.
Paint me a
Like,
word picture, Andy.
so this is I'm
Hmm.
almost back where I started, which is like, why haven't I heard about this movie?
Why indeed?
That's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't this up there with like other 2000s classics, late 90s classics?
Mhm.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'm a little hurt. I'm happy I've seen it now, but it's
Mhm.
kind of, I don't know. I get why when movies get like lost these days with like all the things that are on streaming, and like the fact White Noise took a little bit to find me and things like that, right? Like I get that. There's a lot of noise out there, interesting,
Mhm.
But nowadays, or like back in the day, why didn't this leave like, I don't know. Because it's good. It's good. This is a
Mhm.
good movie. It's a perfectly fine movie. So like that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling.
Well, I mean, you're you are correct with being perplexed here because it did well. It had a 28 million budget, which, by the way, 28 million, looking pretty darn good. That's a fairly low end of the scale, and they did a lot with it. I mean, it's one location, effectively, but they did a lot with it. Great cast. It made like 90 at the box office, so it did well. It was well reviewed. It holds a good score on IMDb. It's just one of those movies that I think it was well regarded at the time, and I think it just kind of somehow has faded into, I wouldn't say obscurity, because I mean, I've heard of the film, obviously, and people who are really into films know the film, but I would say it does strike me as a film that probably isn't as well known as, say, uh, something like maybe Vacancy is probably, that's another thriller at a motel that's all in one place. And that one, I think, probably is more well known. It did come out several years later, completely different story, but I don't know. I think there's just a lot of movies, man. I think that's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
a lot of movies. But
I
this
think when
movie
the
is great.
when the 2000s revival hits,
Mhm.
this movie will
Well,
hopefully get some
we're in the
love.
midst of the 90s revival, and that's going to pretty much swallow up the 2000s revival as well, because they basically are the same thing. There's a lot of bleed over. So we'll be seeing, I think this movie is going to come up in conversation a lot more. When I looked up the reaction, I watched two reactions to this movie right before we talked. And I still couldn't keep the order of things. But I watched the reactions, and those people hadn't ever heard of this movie either. I didn't think it was that obscure. I remember seeing it at the video store. I remember when we rented it years back. Like, I thought more people had heard of it.
Walk me through you seeing this film.
I can't
Briefly.
remember exactly when I saw it. I remember I rented it from Family Video. I think I would have been probably either early 20s or senior in high school. I'm going to guess early 20s though. Maybe, yeah, at the earliest, I might have been 20. And I remember renting it. They only had one or two copies at Family Video. And I remember having pretty much the same reaction you and everyone else has, which is, what the heck is going on? Holy crap. And I'm especially salty when it comes to it was all just a dream or anything that even smacks of a cop out, right? I wasn't even a big fan of the reveal at the end of Fight Club when they were like, we're the same person the first time. Like that even kind of upset me. So when this movie did its whole little song and dance, I was in equal measure gobsmacked and also kind of PO'd because I was like, you got to be kidding. The coolest thing about this movie doesn't even exist. And I stayed salty about it through the end of the movie. But then once the movie was over, I was like, if ever that trope worked, it's here. and it earns it because you go back and you think about it. And the reason it earns it is because it tells you from frame one, this is a guy with multiple personalities. And it tells you from frame one, these are not the murders we're talking about. These are not the people we're talking about. This is all different. So,
Yeah, I mean,
like
I
you are told many times that what you're watching is not it's not what you think it is. And yet you just kind of blindly refuse to accept that as the reality because you're like, well, what do you mean that's look at it, right? And like that's it looks like it's happening. And so that's what's so great about it. And Fight Club does the same thing. It tells you from the beginning, like, we're the same person, blah, blah, blah. But this movie's even more overt
this
about it.
movie, I mean, I think I wrote them down. There are so many of the like, whoa, what the heck plot points
Mhm.
in the opening credits. The opening credits, we get that he was left at a motel when he was a kid,
Mhm.
mentions getting headaches,
Right,
states are mentioned, his birthday's mentioned.
right.
Like it's because it's like, because that's even like I think how that scene ends. Like, do you remember doing the murders? And he's like, well, I remember that Columbia is the capital of South Carolina.
Mhm.
We get so much of it so early, and
Mhm.
I mean,
And
think
you
part
just
of
kind of forget
yeah,
because you get
totally.
absorbed in everything else.
I think part of how it justifies it too is it's such a good ride that then like we
Mhm.
talked about, it takes that reveal and it goes somewhere with it. It's not
Mhm.
just no way, the end.
Right,
It,
right.
the-
It's got
which
somewhere else to go
like what we're
after.
talking about, even though it's the same stakes, even though it's the
Mhm.
same thing, it's like, well, no, like you have a mission left is
Mhm.
literally like almost explicitly said in the movie. So
Right.
it's like, you know, we have a reason to continue. And it's like, okay. So,
Yeah, if without that, it wouldn't work.
oh, for
There,
sure.
there's so much about this movie and the way it's constructed and the way it doles out the information that works so incredibly well. And it gives you such a fun ride, even in that kind of shaky first 5 minutes where it's like hard cutting to other things and freeze framing. It's like it's doing all of this to try to put you off balance as much as possible, as early as possible, so that you are trying so hard to keep up and it's giving you just enough so that you don't get completely lost and frustrated. So you're still invested and you know enough of what's going on so that you stay on the line. But it always keeps you 2 steps behind. And so because you're very invested, you're very interested, and what it's showing you gets more and more ridiculous, you spent so much time at the beginning trying to catch up that you effectively have amnesia to everything that they already told you. And by the way, continue to tell you, because every time they cut away from this back to the hearing, they're giving you more of the same information. He has multiple identity disorder. He killed these people, not those people. Hey, look, we're going to show him to you
Yeah.
halfway through the movie.
The killings at apartments. That's
Right.
like early on.
Not a motel.
Not a motel.
They
The
show you Malcolm halfway through the movie, actually a third of the way through the movie. And you know that that guy isn't any one of these people. And my stupid lizard brain at the time I watched it, I do distinctly remember this. I just remember going, okay, well, then he's somewhere around here. I
yeah,
just
you're
went,
like
well, then
waiting
he's
for him to
around. Yeah, I'm just
yeah.
waiting for him to show up. And then even after that, there's like 5 more what the heck moments. And then after that, I just kind of forget about him again. And I stop waiting on him to show up and just keep thinking, well, it must be one of them. And I just completely forget about the fat bald guy you showed me and you said, this is the killer. I keep forgetting about him
Yeah.
because there's so much other crap going on.
Well,
And
and
I'm
there's
like,
like
well,
it almost makes more sense that like as stupid as it is, like, oh, there's another guy.
there's another guy. Right.
Because
You refuse to accept what
yeah,
they're telling you is the case. The movie, it's almost like this. The movie keeps telling you it's this fat guy and he's crazy. And what you're watching is probably in his mind. And you keep going, nope, nope, nope.
it's
There's
too
probably
good.
another guy. There's another guy. It's too good. There's another guy. It can't be this. It's probably supernatural. Like this movie is so good at what it does that your mind would rather believe something as stupid as it being supernatural. And that is somehow preferable to the literal thing that's going on, which
No,
is that it's just in his mind.
like actually, because there's even that moment where it's like you're not sure what you think about moments, which is like when the convict runs away
Right.
and then runs towards lights and he's back like ain't no way.
Yeah, he
And then
ran.
and then you're like, "Oh, well, then I must have misunderstood what just happened."
Right,
'Cause
exactly.
I saw him run away from the motel, and then he went up,
Mhm.
down an embankment, and up an embankment, and now he's back at the hotel.
He ran like 100 yards away, and now he's 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And we just let that roll because we're like, well, I
Must be
must just,
supernatural.
yeah, I must
They
just
need
need
a
to pay
burial ground.
attention more. Like, that's what's so funny about this movie is it keeps convincing the viewer that, well, you must just be stupid. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
just keep thinking, well, then I have to pay attention some more.
Yeah, I must have missed it.
I must have
Or
missed it.
maybe I'm
Or-
not getting
yeah,
this right, yeah.
or it's supernatural, or they're going to tell us why it's supernatural. It's so dumb that it works this way because we're almost willing to accept something as dumb as Indian burial grounds as a preferable alternative to what's actually happening, which is just a psychological thriller. That's how good this movie is at what it does. And
Yes.
this, I think, really quickly is where I want to throw in my secret spice that I said I
Do
was
it,
sitting
yeah.
on. So obviously, Mangold is the director here. Alan Silvestri, you've got a lot of heavyweights on the producing side and the directing side, and you've got a great cinematographer, you've got great cast. The writer of this film, whose name escapes me at the moment, and I'm not going to bother looking it up. You can look it up if you want.
I'll pull it up.
In fact, I want you to look up this writer.
I'll
I
do
want you to look at his IMDb. I want you to see what else he's written.
Michael Cooney.
Yes. Check out what else he's written.
He's also written Six Souls,
Yep, no one's ever heard of that.
The Eye Inside,
Never heard of it.
Murder in Mind.
Never heard of it.
Let's see what else he's written.
Should have written Jack Frost and Jack Frost 2.
Yeah, Jack Frost 2 and Jack Frost from 1997, direct to video.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little something about our friend. Would you say Michael Cooney?
Yeah.
Everything else he's written blows. And I don't know what to make of it. I watched the original Jack Frost. It is bargain basement garbage. It's so made for video that it's supposed to take place at Christmas time in the snow. They filmed it in like what appears to be LA in a heat wave. They literally took like cotton batting and just put it half-heartedly, like they were taking white sheets and throwing it on the roofs of buildings to look like snow.
Wow.
It's that bad. It's horrendous.
By the way, when Paris goes to when Amanda Peet goes to Florida, there's
Mhm.
like an obvious mountain behind her, which is so funny. Like I get movies are shot
Yeah.
places that they aren't actually, but it's like we have orange trees. You couldn't have moved your bush to the or moved the camera to the right to block the mountain that's behind her. That's like that is a nitpick, but I was like, look at that Floridian mountain.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Well, that's what
But
happened.
no, that's to your point. Yeah, there's not even
He's
there's
made nothing
nothing-
else as nearly as successful or as good, other than Identity. So either Identity was a absolute stroke of genius fluke, he fell on his head and suddenly had the ability to write well, or he's a good writer who just is content to slum it, and I don't know which it is. But it boggles my mind that a movie this fantastic came from the same pen that gave us Jack Frost. And like,
No, that
I
is
could
insane. That is insane. Yeah.
I could excuse it if that was like a few of your things or your early stuff, and then you know, because everybody will work like in crap at first, even if they're good, they'll just take whatever pays. Like, that's fine. I'm not faulting someone for doing schlock. What I can't figure out is how it is that everything you've done has been basically a nothing sandwich, and then there's Identity in the middle of it. It just blows my mind. Because like if you watch Panic Room and you're like, oh, David Koepp, the one who also wrote Stir of Echoes, the one who also wrote Jurassic Park, the one who also like he's got like a batting average of like he's just a 10 out of 10 all the time. And you're like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's other guys who are like hit and miss. There's guys who are like 50% of their filmography is great, the other 50% is fair. I've never seen somebody like this who just comes out, hits a beautiful home run, and then just poops on the bat and runs around the field naked for the rest of his career. Like, again, Michael, if you ever listen to this, I am not trying I am not trying to insult you. I'm just trying to understand. Are you really talented and you just don't care and you'll just write whatever? Or did you just have like a middling ability to write and then you just got really good for one? Was this just your diamond in the rough? Which if it is, hey, no shame in that. One hit wonder, We're glad we have them. But holy cow, what the heck happened? I'm just
What a
confused.
metaphor, by the way. Hit a home run, poop on the bat, and then run naked route. Feel the
It-
rest of the game.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I have strong convictions, Andy. And my poop metaphors run deep.
Yeah, they do.
Like
Fans
a-
of the
like-
show
Yeah.
will know Santino was talking about
Love talking about some poop.
that.
So yeah, there's
Yeah,
the
man.
little bit of spice right there just for your trivia to satisfy your trivia brain. But yeah, if you want to talk briefly about like just some of the things that were cool about
Well,
the
yeah,
movie,
I have like I
atmosphere of
wrote
the
down
movie.
because you were a little late. I wrote down things I liked about this movie just in case it wasn't that way we could like kind of ground the show and it not just be like, oh, the not just a full baby hippo thing. Lose my mind. Okay, so here's 3 things I liked about, and we've kind of covered these. Here's 3 things, bullet points, real quick. Number 1, Amanda Peet.
Amanda Pete.
I
Enough
was
said.
like, I was in.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, this is like obvious given what we've said, but the story is like truly like engaging is an understatement. Like gripping, even. It's slow at first, but like I have not had a thriller thrill me so much in a long time. And I was like, I don't know, it was the right time to watch the movie. I started at like 9, could have maybe even started a little later, and I was just like the whole time I was like, what's going on? And even like, I mean, there's thrillers we've watched on the show that I've rated extremely highly and think are great, like Prisoners, it's a different type of ride than this.
Much
but
more
this
slow
is
burn.
Yeah, this is just like, this is an hour and a half. Like,
Yeah, this is a ride.
on the
This
dot.
is like being on a roller coaster,
You
top
go up.
speed.
And then
Yep.
And then Anamorphic out the wazoo is number 3.
Out the wazoo. Yes. Full wazoo.
Yeah, I watched it on our projector, and I didn't quite notice the aspect ratio being as dramatic as it was, but I was rewatching it on my computer, which is a 2020 MacBook Air, before we started, just like having it on so I could get like the intercutting right and just kind of get my bearings again. And the bars are like half the screen. This is such an anamorphic movie. And so that's fun. And they're doing lens flares and it looks fun. And like you're saying, like a very 90s look, 90s rain. This movie's covered in water and it's great. And it's this awesome location of this like weird seedy motel. And this is great.
There's a lot of greens and blues in the color palette. And everyone's
production
soaked.
design.
No one's ever dry for even 2 seconds of this movie. Even when they're inside, they're literally dripping wet, even when they're under a roof.
Here's a funny trivia bit. There's a couple times in this movie where I was like, especially when they're in the like hearing, I was like, this looks like Joker. Like I'm getting strong Joker vibes. Looked it up. Turns out, same production designer. So I was like, oh, that's why it looks like. Because I even was like, when I
Who
noticed
is the production designer on this one? I don't think I know. It's not
I
Arthur
don't-
Max, is it?
I don't think so. I might have to look that up again. But I thought it was so funny because I was like, well, another thing Joker just took from and ran with. But it turns out, I mean, it's not the same DP, but it is the same production designer, which I was like, well, that's funny. The production designer is Mark Friedberg.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's good too. There are a handful of production designers who have name recognition, and it's because they're so darn good. And I mean, the only reason I even mentioned Arthur Max is because he's like one that comes to mind. He did the production design on, I believe he did Fear and Loathing as well, but he did production design on Panic Room and a bunch of other stuff. And like you can tell when you're watching a movie of his because everything is just designed within an inch of its life. Everything is controlled. And this movie is very similar to that. It's definitely there's so much texture because everything's wet, everything's glistening, everything has texture to it. Everything has the walls of the motel seem rough and like they're old paint, and everything's very tangible. That's the thing about when you actually put thought and design into what's in front of the lens. And I know a lot of film bros would be like, well, that's what you get when you shoot on film.
I was
No.
literally just gonna ask you, mind meld here. Like, do you think that has to do? Because here's the funny thing. I was digging through the internet. I could not have told you, and maybe this is my own ignorance, that this movie was shot on film. I was actually surprised it was. I was getting like strong digital vibes from this movie just because the color palette's very like I don't know if flat's the right word. I'm bad at describing how I think colors work, but it's
It's
not a
very
very
green, it's very cold,
yes,
and that
it's
tends
not
to
like
look digital.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
See, when we think film, we think warm. When we think digital, we think cold. These are wrong-headed ideas.
artificial these
Yeah,
are
these are
artificial limitations. Yeah.
right. And the thing is, and I'm glad you brought that up because
And I didn't
basically
yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be like joking that like, do you think this is because like I mean Roger Avery talks about that there's like video and then there's film.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, like
no, no, that's all BS. So here's how it works. What makes a movie actually look tactile has nothing to do with the medium with which you shoot it. Again, when I say medium, I'm going to limit that to modern day digital cinema cameras and film. Because if you take old digital cameras into account, those were far more like video cameras. And of course, there's a much bigger loss in fidelity. So we're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about like your Reds, your Arri Alexas, and your film cameras, right? That's what we're going to limit the conversation to, because that's the majority of what Hollywood shoots on. Here's the difference. It's what the production design is. It's your art department. It's literally what you're doing with the light. It has nothing to do with the film. I've seen digital movies that looked more like they were film than movies that were shot on film, and vice versa. It's all about what's in front of the lens. And in the case of this film, you could have shot this film probably on a Sony A7S III, and it would have looked just as good and just as tactile and just as real because it has nothing to do with digital. It has everything to do with what's in front of it. The only big difference that you get when you shoot film versus digital is that digital, because of the way it works, has a very hard time looking rich in the shadows. And here's what I mean by that. I know you probably already know this, but for the folks playing along at home, when you shoot on film, it's a physical medium. Okay, it's a literal, tangible thing that goes through a film gate and exposes. And when you expose an image, the dark areas are denser. They're literally denser than the areas that are translucent that allow light to pass through. So your highlights are literally translucent and your shadows are literally blocking light. And so because there is a higher concentration of silver and greater density in your shadows in film, there's a richness to shadows that is very hard to duplicate. Notice I didn't say impossible, but very rarely duplicated in digital. There's only been 2 digital movies that I've ever seen in my entire life that have mimicked the same kind of dense richness in the blacks that you get with film. One of them was The Batman, which they shot digitally, but they technically printed to film, did a bleach bypass on, and then rescanned. So you can't fully count that one because they did technically have film to help them out. But the one movie that was, as far as I know, purely shot digitally, that still looks as close to a rich digital shadow as possible is called In the Shadow of the Moon, which is a Netflix original. And the first hour of that film looks gorgeous. And then the last hour of that film looks like they ran out of money and just decided to just film however they could. And it's like you're watching 2 different movies. It's a real disaster. Point is, short answer, no, digital does not really change this thing.
Well, and
It's all
part of
about
this too,
the
and
film.
this is like a random thing
Hmm.
to add, maybe again, you know this audience.
Yeah.
I want you to bring you in on this too. The really good digital cameras
Hmm.
act more like film does in ways that pretty much everybody subconsciously picks up on as being more cinematic.
Hmm.
Like, so, and that has like, and again, that has nothing to do with film or digital or any magic with whatever. I mean, I think we all get, and it's really funny we're having this conversation talking about this movie, this like film versus digital conversation. I get it. I think I get that there's like an element where it's like, well, you're burning money whenever you did,
Mhm.
roll film. So it's more diligence, but you still can be more intentional on a digital production.
Mhm.
It's got its pitfalls, but it's not the like reason movies suck
Yeah. Yeah,
at
the
all
reason
because
movies suck
you
is
can
because no one
still
takes time anymore.
yeah. you can still take the time and you see like that's literally just that's the difference.
Mhm.
And that still comes through. And that's still why
Time,
there's
planning.
still good movies is like with weapons. You're
Mhm.
like someone took the time to write this movie.
Yeah. The production design in that
Yeah.
works. And now, and that's the other thing. There's also stylistic changes because we're talking about how 90s this movie looks. There was a style to the way that you lit a thing. And now this does technically have something to do with film versus digital. The reason we're seeing movies that are getting dimmer now and they're flatter is because you're now using digital cameras that are more light sensitive than film. So now you need less light to expose the image, which means you have uh, a dimmer image overall. Your shadows are less hard because it used to be, as you know, that you had to have like giant Fresnel lights that cast really hard light on things. And that's why you have that 80s, 90s look. The minute you could get to softer, weaker lights and you were able to pick up on it, now you start to get away from that lighting style. And that lighting style slowly morphed in the mid to late 2000s to this very crushed black, very high contrast, very tinted. The mid 2000s were all about tints. Like once Lord of the Rings and Oh Brother Where Art Thou did it, all of a sudden everybody started tinting. And James Wan would tint everything blue, and other movies were tinting everything green. And the Saw movies would always be tinted like this ugly green color. And then you get to the late 2010s, and there's another style shift where like everything starts kind of looking like log because no one really knew what to do with it. And then you get into the 2020s, and
Looking
now,
gray. would
yeah,
be
looking
my-
very
yeah.
gray. And now that we're in the 2020s, you're starting to see an adoption of harder light again, which I love. And strangely, it's some of my least favorite filmmakers, but they are adopting this harder light and this more almost low dynamic range. Because that's the funny thing is we're now in a place. I know this conversation is probably riveting for the people listening, but
Hey, I'm loving it.
I'm wrapping it up. Spoiler alert, I'm almost done. But we are reaching a place now where digital actually has more dynamic range than film. And so a lot of DPs who grew up on digital now are learning that like we don't really have to commit. We can just kind of blast lights at things and we'll figure it out later. And we'll decide what our dynamic range, where we want to clip it out, because eventually you have to clip something. You're either clipping the blacks or you're clipping the highlights. You're going to clip something. And we'll figure that out later. And that's, if you wanted in one sentence what's wrong with modern cinema and why movies don't look tactile and why they feel cheap and why CG looks worse now than it did in 2005 and why everything looks worse now, it's because we adopted a process in filmmaking that's non-committal and we're going to figure it out in post. And that is the death of anything is indecision. Anything creative, anything that looks good, if you're going to decide it later, you're screwed. And so when you see a movie like this,
There's like life truth in that too.
Oh, yes.
Like it's the death of anything.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
hey,
literally, it's
true,
the death of anything.
true.
Like commit now. If you think you're going to figure it out later, it's going to be bad. No one has a kid and goes, well, we'll figure it out later. No one in their
Yeah.
right mind, let's just say that. No one gets married and goes, well, I think I'll figure out if I love this person later. Like you don't do that. Like you
Yeah.
figure it out now and then you decide. And so in this movie and everything else, you've got high texture, high contrast. Everything's wet, so it all glistens. They're playing with the light. Everything's a tightly controlled color palette. It looks real. And then you see movies now and they don't look real. And it's because, well, number one, your lighting isn't necessarily defining the form, right? Light defines form. So everything's just very soft. And soft, kind of even light doesn't define anything it's hitting. And then your production design, you're not putting a lot of thought into that. And you're also not determining where your dynamic range is going to lie when you film the movie. And I've had this conversation even with DPs where it's like they get very precious about, well, let's not, let's make sure we have all our data, right? Like we want to make sure like all our data is preserved. And I'm like, no, we don't need
Because
that.
I mean, if you're making it this far in this conversation, you don't know what we mean. Wow. But I'm gonna try to explain. Like with digital photography and like videography, you're essentially capturing information, and there's like ways of measuring if you're capturing that information or not that you can mess with the final look of it later. That is
Yeah.
maybe my like.
That's
me,
correct.
You've been saying that already, so I don't
Mhm.
even know if I'm like necessarily explaining anything, but like that's like the way this digital that's kind of the magic of digital, but also like you're saying, it's the curse of digital
Right.
is this flexibility. I mean, I just shot an event. None of the people who are there listening to this, hopefully, I shot an event and I shot in RAW for photos. I shot
Mhm.
I was taking photos and video, but the photos I shot in RAW, and it saved my butt because I don't know what I'm doing. And the reason I shoot in RAW is because I can fix it later,
Right.
and all I have to
Right.
do is pull focus, and I do that about like 80% of the time.
Mhm.
So exactly, like I'm not defending doing that for
Mhm.
filmmaking, but like just saying like you can shoot in ways with digital that it's like it's not this final thing, but
Well,
the final
sure.
product comes later. And but what you're saying is you kind of have to, if you want to get something interesting, you kind of have to draw that line
Mhm.
bef- before or like
For
while
sure.
you're filming. So
And I mean, you know, to put a final pin in this so that we don't drag this out and make everybody really bored. But the idea that you're illustrating here is that if you have digital, it doesn't actually exist. So all you have is zeros and ones. You've just got information. And so that information is inside of a container. And that container wants to fit as much information in there as possible. Whereas with film, it's a physical medium. So when you expose film, you've got a little bit of wiggle room, but that's about it. Like if you expose to the point where your blacks have no information in them, and then you try to bring information back out, let me tell you something, it's just black. You're not going to get it back. Same thing with a white. Once you blow that light bulb out and you've exposed and that light bulb is white, it's not coming back. In digital, you can get a lot of things back. And cinematographers who grew up strictly on digital get real touchy about, oh, well, you know, that's going to clip. We're going to do that. And I'm like, it's fine. I want it to. Like, I know where I want this to look. And like for me, and it's kind of a blessing in disguise was I had and still to this day own an early A7S, Sony A7S, and they're in 8-bit. So if you try to shoot in log in 8-bit, I know we're way deep now for most of the
yeah,
audience, but if you try to shoot in
it
log on
shoots
8-bit,
less information. You
yeah,
got less information
you have
than what we've been talking about.
almost,
The
yeah,
container's smaller. It's a
much
small
smaller.
Tupperware jar
Yeah.
and not a big one.
Basically, 8-bit doesn't work for log, so you're wasting your time. And I found that out early on, and so I just started shooting in Rec. 709.
And log is log is
It's the flat.
it's a
version.
flat thing. It's like
It's
a
a flat
color,
color
but you can
profile.
get stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Log is meant to just curve everything around middle gray so that you don't have really black blacks or really white whites. That way you have as much dynamic range as possible. But that
You
only
are a
works.
log hater.
I am.
know.
Because you don't really need it. I've shot my entire career with Rec. 709, which is basically just what you see is what you get. You have very little wiggle room. And yet, if you know how to expose an image, like you're gonna be fine. Like my philosophy is the same philosophy as almost every filmmaker prior to the digital revolution, which was we need to shoot this thing on the day as close to the final as possible. What we see on the monitor today ought to be within 10% of what we want to get in the end. And you're fine. If you do that, you know that you've got a good movie. And that's the way I like to work.
That's great.
And that's how we
I
work
love
on
that
the
we're
Slice
here.
trailer. Like that's how we work.
Yeah.
I told Sammy, look, man, and you were there, and like no shade against
And we
Sammy.
love Sammy.
We love
Sammy a lot. We talk about
Yes, we talk about Sammy
he
a
might
lot.
be listening.
He
He
might.
might be listening. We
Mhm.
talk about how much we love you and love your work all the time.
Constantly.
I was telling my dad about how much I love your work the other day when we were on a
Mhm.
walk. Like, we love you.
Right. But you know, I'll occasionally when I'm talking to Sammy, he'll bring up this thing about, you know, making sure we keep a certain amount of data. And I get why that is. And credit where credit's due, Sammy will adapt very quickly. So like when we were on the shoot, we were not 100% shooting the way Sammy normally likes to shoot. Because like Sammy likes things to look very naturalistic. He doesn't like a light to look sourcey, which for the layman just means that you can see where the light's coming from and it makes no earthly sense. Kind of like the way old movies used to be. It's like there's a rim light over this person's head, but they're indoors and there's not a skylight. But it looks good, right? So
Yeah.
my philosophy is if it looks good, shoot it. Sammy's philosophy is I want it to look natural and I don't want you to know where the lights are if they're not motivated, right? He wants you to think, oh, this light that's coming from the side is coming from this lamp. I say, I don't care if you can tell where it's coming from. Does it look good? And Sammy is very, very quick to adapt. And by like the second or third shot that we did in the trailer, I would go, how's that look? He's like, I buy it. And then we would just roll. And like, it looks fine. And we're great. And so and also Sammy is very much, I believe, a big advocate for shooting as close to what you want as possible. But he does still have that, like, I want to make sure we've got enough wiggle room just in case. And that's fine because that's just being like a good lookout for like your post-production.
He's doing his job.
He's doing his job. Like he's trying to make
yeah.
sure that you don't like screw yourself or him over in the post process by like pushing it a little too far, and I appreciate that. But because I'm a log hater, I generally I'm always kind of like, nah, just push it. Like I like to
Yeah.
play a little fast and loose with it. But that's our long-winded way of saying this movie is a 90s movie slash early 2000s movie because they actually knew what they wanted and they shot with high contrast and good texture. And that's what makes a cool looking movie. So now that we've bored everyone,
Yeah.
what do you want to rate this movie, Andy?
Well, I like it. That's what I'm saying. What I want to rate it. I think I'm gonna rate it. I've actually kind of struggled with how much I want to rate it. I think I'm gonna give it like an objective score of a 7. I
Nice.
think it lands firmly there. Objective is 7. Just because I do think, especially in that opening, there's some like rocky parts.
Mhm.
Like to be clear, I was not sure if I was watching a good movie or a bad movie for like 10 minutes. Right? Like, which is
Mhm.
I ended up watching, I think, a really great film. A film I think is really underrated and underappreciated. So I'm gonna rate it like 7. Maybe like on a good day, I'd give it like a 7.5. I think it's really
Mhm.
interesting. I think it's really good. It like maybe I would give it a 7.5 just because I think I'm gonna land on 7.5 because it does we've talked about it does the it's all a dream, but somehow it makes it not suck.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
actually pulls that off. So I'll give it a 7.5, which is quite high, but I think it's appropriate. Also because of saying all the objective things. Subjectively, this was like a 9.5 out of 10 because I was aware of it in the moment,
Mhm.
but I was like so in on
Mhm.
this movie. And it was fun. And like we've said, it's an hour and a half. There's not like any fat on
Mhm.
this. There might have been fat on this episode of The Only Problem, but
A
there's
little
no
bit.
fat on this movie. And it was just I was in. And I was after I watched it, I was still so amped up that I needed to, relax. And so I
Yeah.
put on Gwen Stefani.
Which is an amazing mixture of two things to just kind of go, I just saw Identity and now I want a quick Gwen Stefani chaser. That's such a
Yeah.
great thing,
That's a Monday night for me.
I guess.
Uh, and yourself, what would you rate it?
I mean, I've given this a lot of thought today, and I don't actually know offhand what I've rated it on IMDb, but I think I'm gonna taking all this in because usually when I give these movies ratings, it's like, oh, especially if it's one that I've given to you, it's something I've seen many times before, and so I tend to forget just how the experience of watching it is for the first time. So now that I've kind of been able to vicariously live through you and a few other reaction videos, just realizing just how much of a fun ride this movie is, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Nice.
I'm just gonna, because I could do the same thing you did and give it like an objective, subjective. I'm just gonna meet it in the middle and go 8. It's a modern classic. It's really fun. It's really fast paced. It almost it almost stumbles because you're like, oh, it's only a dream, but it pulls it off still. And the fact is, it's a movie that makes you feel stupid because it tells you from the beginning that this is
Yeah.
what's going on, and you just kind of refuse to believe it. And it's so fun, and it's so high atmosphere. I love it.
Yeah,
It's an 8 for me.
for sure.
So, does it have your heart, Sir
I'd
Matsky?
say no,
Okay.
just because that's such like
It
a
is a very
sticky mess.
protected
It's
class.
like a protected class. Movies kind of work their way in. I have like it has part of my heart in a way that I've already started kind of advocating for this movie. I've told a
Mhm.
couple people they have to watch it,
Right.
and I'll probably tell a couple more people that. And I can see ways it would influence me. I kind of I'm see more and more like the having my heart category kind of in the way that like Licorice Pizza was
Mhm.
this thing, which I don't even remember if I gave that my heart.
I
I
think you
think I might
did.
have not.
Thought you did. I can't remember now. You'd have to look at the chart.
I didn't. But
Oh.
but Licorice Pizza are like white noise where it's like there's something here that like I almost already connect with
Mhm.
and like I build into. So I don't know. I don't think I gave Licorice Pizza, which is hilarious because it's lived with me so much after watching that movie.
It really has.
But
I
left an
mean,
impression.
there is, I think, because we make up the rules, you can always, and I'm not saying to do this necessarily for Licorice Pizza, but we can at any point, like, kind of retroactively give something our heart if we find that it lives with us for a while. I think
Yeah.
that would be
And I think
fair
I
to
could do
do.
that. I think I could do that with Licorice Pizza. I might as well. I'll say retroactively, Andy.
Mhm.
Um, but
I think White
it's
Noise had your heart, right?
yes, it does.
Yeah.
It had both of ours.
Yeah. I feel like that's a given.
And it's like my whole thing of like fun movies are like
Mhm.
a easier buy for me. And this isn't not that this isn't a fun movie,
Mhm.
but I don't know. So
I think that's fair enough. For me, it's so close to having my heart. But because it's not a movie that lives with me, as you said, in the same way that a lot of these other ones do, I don't think I'm gonna give it my heart. But I do like it a lot and I've seen it many times. And I still can't keep it straight. So there you go.
Yep.
Testament to just how confusing it is. So
well, if you've enjoyed this wild ride through cinema,
if you got through the last 15 minutes that had nothing really to do with the movie, consider
yeah, well,
subscribing.
yeah, then stick around. We'd love to have you here for the only problem. This is the ending of the show, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Um,
I don't think we had any emails this week, by the way. If you want to send
no.
us a letter, do that to only problem with Santino and Andy at gmail.com. We did not have any. No, yeah, we didn't have any. So yeah, this is the end of the show. Why would you say that?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know what came over me.
That was crazy.
It
We like
was.
right as the recording starts, you're gonna leave me having to react to that.
Hmm. I was throwing down some mad rhymes, and Andy, for the viewers at home, Andy just really he wasn't ready for my sick beats. I also got a little
There's
out of hand. I
Look,
will
there's a
admit.
time and a place to like lay down a sick lyric. A rhyme, your rhyme scheme was on point, but you got off the rails. I don't know. There was some things that were said about like Mexican politics that I don't even quite understand, like parliamentary system.
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah.
I was
You
a
wouldn't think I
tear.
could rhyme parliamentary though, and I did.
He did
I really
several
pulled it
times.
off. Hmm.
It was really impressive. But we're not a rap podcast. We are a movie podcast.